Hey, everybody. I'm Dr. Priscilla. I am the owner, the creator, the founder of Speak Excellent English, and I'm so glad that you're able to join me today. So today's topic is about conversational English, what you can do on your own to improve your conversational English speaking skills. Yesterday, I brought up the word cliche from a previous lesson. So if you watched the replay, hopefully you dove into trying to understand what that one single word actually means. So cliche is something that is redundant. Redundant being in a manner that it is something that you have heard before. And the more you hear it, the least amount of time you need to spend trying to learn it, because you're going to hear it over and over and over again, thus learning it. Okay, so something that is redundant is something that is not necessary, needed to be repeated. And we talk about cliches when we say things like that. For example, as red as a rose could be a cliche. As red as a rose could also be an idiom, and I spoke about that too. Sometimes cliches are more like idioms, or that may be the first thought that comes to your mind, that you're using an idiom. When it rains, it pours could be a cliche, because in almost any book that you read that has idioms in it, that will be one of the ones that's there. When it rains, it pours, because it's easily understood. If it's starting to rain and it's raining a lot, then when it rains, it pours. On a salt box, the iodine salt box that we have, that little description is down below. When it rains, it pours. It means that this salt does not clump up, and it will always flow through the little portal to season your food or whatever it is that you might want to do with table salt. Additionally, some of you went with me on my road trip. I traveled to Snow Camp, North Carolina yesterday, and I took you all along with me for a short period of time. And on my way, I stopped at 3 places. One, I stopped to get gasoline. I stopped at the rest stop to rest. And I stopped at one of those burger joints to get something to eat. So on my way, I made 3 stops, and I made it to my destination in Snow Camp, North Carolina. So where exactly is Snow Camp? Snow Camp is approximately 2 hours and 6 minutes from where I live. And I was going to meet my son, who was doing an inspection, or he was having an inspection done on the new property that he and his fiance just purchased. So that was really exciting. The house is beautiful. I'll show you more of the house in another session, or talk about it more in another session, and perhaps even post some pictures today about the property. It's really beautiful. I had a great time there, enjoyed spending time with my son, enjoyed just looking at the property and thinking about all of the things that he will be able to do, or the new things that he and she will be able to do once they move in. Now, when you're thinking about improving your ability to speak English, I want you to have in your mind this word that I will use a lot, and it is intentional. Intentional. So what does the word intentional mean? Intentional means that you're putting your energies into something, and you're thinking about the reasons why you're doing it. So it isn't as if it's off of the top of your head that you decided to do it, or you weren't thinking about it and you did it. But no, this is something that you've planned to do. You may have even set up a schedule to include this intentionality into whatever it is that you're doing. So when we're building our English fluency, we must do it with intentionality. Again, when we do things with intentionality, it has the possibility of being lasting and very meaningful. if we do something, oh, just because I have the time to do it, which is still good, but if you put the intentionality into it, it has more meaning and it's more stick-to-itiveness. It gets into your cellular self, and you will have a greater tendency to remember and use whatever it is that you're doing with intentionality. I hope that this is clear. If this isn't clear to you, please do not hesitate to respond, whether you are responding after watching the replay or if you're watching now. If you have questions, I will try and answer any questions that I see that will come through. But other than that, I will just continue talking for a few moments. And I want to say to those of you who have registered for today, you will be able to see this on Facebook because I am doing it live. And again, to mention and remind you that on November 4th, the Conversational English series will begin. So I hope that if you have not registered, that you will register for that. Be prepared to engage in exciting conversations, learn a lot, be about the idea of learning, growing, and developing your English fluency with the Speak Excellent English practices, procedures, tips, and techniques. Now let me take a quick look at my notes that I have. And the main focus that I wanted to talk about was intentionality. I'm going to dive into a brief lesson today. I'm going to choose a lesson that is actually online. And I say, it says that I can't minimize the screen right there. So let me try and go in this direction. I'll share my screen. I'm going to go to this lesson. It is an easy lesson, and it does not matter what your level is. This will be a good lesson for you. If you were an advanced student, then you can think of it in terms of what words, what would you say, as opposed to what I'm going to give you from the lesson itself. I'm opening up the lesson now. And this one is going to come from, let's see what this one is. This one has words such as revenge, procrastination, and blame. What I like about this lesson is that along with the, excuse me, I swallowed wrong. Let's see if I can share my screen. Share my screen. All right, so what you should be able to see now in the middle of the screen is someone sitting on the sofa, perhaps playing with a game. But if I were to ask you to describe this picture, you might start out by saying something like this, and this is how you would work with your fluency. In this picture, I see a young man playing with a device. In this picture, I see a man playing with a device, and that's all that you need to say. If I ask you to tell me 2 or 3 things, then in this picture, I see a man playing with the device. This man is sitting on the sofa and he is staring forward. So I've told you 3 things. You might say, in this picture, I see a young man who is wearing a blue shirt and he has a black device in his hand and he's sitting on the sofa. Then in response, what is this young man doing? It could be any number of things, but you could say, this young man is playing a game with a device in his hands. Where is this young man sitting? This young man is sitting on the sofa. Okay. Now let's take a look at the lesson itself. Here we have vocabulary words: procrastinate, decompress, revenge, resist, recreation or recreation. And the last one is response. Let's quickly take a look at the meanings or the definition. Procrastinate. Students with a tendency to procrastinate often struggle when they get to university. Decompress. A walk on the beach is my favorite way to decompress after a busy week. Police believe the attack was motivated by revenge. Resist. I know I'm meant to be on a diet, but I just couldn't resist buying a piece of cheesecake. And if I take a look at this cheesecake, I'm clicking on the cheesecake. Doesn't that look scrumptious? I don't know that I would be able to resist that cheesecake. The last one, well, no. The next one is recreation. And the counselor promised to build a new pool and recreation center in the town if he was elected mayor. And finally, response. Protests took place all around the world in response to George Floyd's death. So those are the vocabulary words that you would want to be able to use in some sufficient manner after reading and really understanding the article. Now I will read the article, and the article reads, trouble going to bed, blame, revenge, bedtime procrastination. After a long day, when you haven't had any time to relax, do you stay up extra late reading books or playing video games, even though you're tired? If so, you may have engaged in revenge bedtime procrastination. Revenge procrastination. The term bedtime procrastination was introduced in a 2014 sleep study from the Netherlands. But around 2018, people on Chinese social media started adding revenge in response to the country's 996 work culture, in which people work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. Basically, the idea was that by delaying bedtime to do the things they enjoyed, people were taking revenge for the time they lost during the day. The term revenge bedtime procrastination became known in English after journalist Daphne K. Lee wrote about the Chinese trend on Twitter in 2020. The 2014 Dutch study found that people with poor self-control and who tended to procrastinate in general were more likely to put off sleeping for no real reason. A 2018 study found that the more people tried to resist doing things they enjoyed during the day, the more likely they were to delay their bedtime. However, a 2019 German study found that bedtime procrastination might just be connected to when you like to sleep. The study found that on work days, it was most common among night owls, people who prefer to sleep late anyway, and that the behavior couldn't be explained by poor self-control. A Polish study found that bedtime procrastination was more common among women students and people who weren't working. It also decreased slightly as people got older. To reduce bedtime procrastination, Dr. Ramirez Fargo of California's Loma Linda University Health recommends scheduling times for rest, recreation, or exercise during the day, so you don't feel like you have to do all the things you enjoy right before bed, even starting small with 10 to 15-minute breaks can help you to decompress and be more productive as well. Well, that was an interesting read, I think. And thank you so much for the hearts up. If you'd like to join me live in this conversation, click the link somewhere in this discussion and you can join me live and we can talk and answer questions, or you may even ask me questions. This is what we are doing today. Now, if we look at our discussion questions, what are your thoughts on revenge bedtime procrastination? Again, one would have to understand the meaning of the word revenge, and one would have to understand the meaning of procrastination. So when one takes revenge on something, it is because I want to get even with, I want to even the stakes. So I'm going to level the playing field, or at least that is my thinking when I say that I'm going to get my revenge. If someone hits me, I'm going to hit them back. That's revenge, doing what someone did to me. And then I'm going to take revenge and do the same thing or something similar to that person. Procrastination. That's a big word. Procrastination. So let's practice saying that word. Procrastination. If you're watching the replay, you can just repeat after me. If you're watching me in real time, you can say it with me now. Procrastination, procrastination, procrastination. One more time, procrastination. So what exactly does procrastination mean? Procrastination means to put something off that you should perhaps do now, but you chose to do it later. And in this case, you're choosing to sleep a little bit later than maybe go to bed at 9:30. You may procrastinate and stay up till 11 or 12. That is procrastination. And the revenge is because of your work schedule. All right. If you make me come into my job at 8:30 and I don't get to leave until 6, I'm going to take advantage of some of my available time before going to sleep. That is the revenge. Now, what would make this more meaningful is if I had some questions that I would be responding to. And since I don't, you are stuck and you're left with just my interpretation. All right. I'm going to be on for another 10 minutes. Do you ever stay up late reading books or playing video games? That's a great question. I'd like for my readers who like to read books to let me know, how late do you stay up reading a book? How late would you stay up to read a book? If it's a very good book for me, I think I would probably stay up an additional hour, looking forward to getting to maybe the end of a chapter and not starting a new chapter. So I can stay up pretty late reading a book, especially if it's a thick book with many pages for the chapter. What's your favorite way to decompress after a busy day? Decompress. After a stressful day, many of my students online work outside of their home. And I would imagine that you feel the stress, the tiredness, the weariness that comes from a job, especially if you're trying to solve problems for the better part of the day. And you just need something as a distraction to help you decompress, take your mind off of the problems or the situations at hand. For me, decompression would be to play some fast-paced music, jump around, dance around home, and that helps to decompress me. That's what I like to do. Number 4, if you had an extra hour of spare time every day, how would you spend it? For me, I'll just start out by saying what I do with my extra time is get on the computer and talk to English language learners. When I have the extra time to do that, that is what I do. I'd be interested in knowing what it is that you do in your free time as well. And the last one is, what are your thoughts on China's 996 work culture? That's 996, working from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 6 days a week. 996. That is the work culture. I don't think I would like those hours. I think I really like the 40-hour week that we have here in the US. That's pretty much standard, a 40-hour week with Saturday and Sunday or 2 days off. That works best for me. Now, I'm going to post this document in our Facebook group. I'd like for you to look at the vocabulary words and tell me what you think these vocabulary words mean, and write a sentence of your own of at least 2 of these words. If you could do that for me, that would be fantastic. And it helps you to learn as you grow in your English fluency, building your listening skills, as well as your ability to demonstrate comprehension. All right. So this takes us to the end for today. If anyone has questions or comments that they'd like to leave, please do so. I want to again invite you to the English language series that will be coming up very soon. You must register if you wish to participate. It is open to all. There is no cost. And in this English language series, Conversational English series is the name of it, you will be able to interact with me, interact with others in real time with real voice in English. Until my next live stream, I'm Dr. Priscilla. Thanks everybody for joining me today and or watching the replay. Bye for now.